Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. It has been a while since I looked at a HongDian fountain pen, so here is one that has been around for a few months now, if not a year or so, and that sells at a pretty decent price that could potentially make it a no-brainer for students or if budget can be a little bit tight when it comes to fountain pens. Very simple in construction, it's basically another spin-off that was originally inspired by the Parker 51 design but with a little bit of a spin to it. First, the outside of the fountain pen looks more like a Parker dual-fold copy with flat ends and no finials, and a slip-on cap rather than a screw-on one. And second, instead of an aerometric filling system, it comes with a more modern, full-size converter. The cap and barrel seems to be made out of metal, probably painted brass, and the section is plastic, but with a metal insert for where the barrel screws on, which is a good thing actually. I think that this insert is glued inside the section and not threaded on the section. I was not able to remove the section from this insert, but at the same time I also did not want to force it, since I did not want to break the section. As such, it is probably impossible to remove the feed inside of it without possibly breaking the section. But you should be able to pull off the nib if you want to replace it with something else. The cap is fairly heavy and it comes with a clip that is a little bit on the stiff side but definitely usable. The thing that I really like about it is that the pen is very well balanced, poster or not, which is a little bit surprising considering that the cap is on the heavier side of things. Probably that is thanks to the fact that it posts very well and deep on the barrel. Overall, while the design might polarize people, I have to admit that the end result is pretty pleasant to work with. So let's sync it up and see what it can do. For today's ink, since I am using a HongDian fountain pen, I decided to try for the first time an ink from HongDian that I did had for a while but did not have a chance to try it yet. The ink is HongDian Teal non-carbon ink and comes in a 60ml bottle. Interesting color based on the color swatches they provided, that comes in a very simple but kind of elegant bottle. Hopefully will work out okay with whatever scribble I will be doing today. Unfortunately, the ink that the pictures advertised didn't turn out to be as light as, well, advertised in the pictures. It's actually a darker teal than what I was expecting. The fountain pen filled up without any issues and started writing right away. The nib is slightly scratchy, but I think that is mostly because of how thin the nib is and nothing else. As a matter of fact, it seems to be working quite good on both sides, with a very slightly thinner line on the reverse. Very comfortable in hand and well balanced, poster or not, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, especially for writing. As long as you like hooded nibs, should not be a problem. However, because it is a hooded nib, the nib is pretty stiff and there is no line variation as you can see. But the flow is pretty good and to my surprise actually on the wet side of things, even on this very extra fine nib that I have it paired with. Anyway, with the writing aside, let's hit that large piece of Fabriano paper and see what kind of scribble we will be getting today. A little bit worried on the ink, not sure I can layer this ink too much, so I don't think I'm going to have a lot of room to play with shading things. Because of the ink and how it was behaving while I was writing, and because it turned out to be a little bit darker than I was expecting it to be, based on the original picture the ad had, I decided to not commit to something specific for my scribble today and just kind of let it slowly develop in whatever it wanted to be while I was trying to figure out how to work the ink and fountain pen combo in my favor. Turned out that once I got the hang of it, I was able to get some depth out of the ink and turn out with something that I kinda like. Like usual, not sure what it is, but this one I do kinda like. Another odd creature with one too many legs, coming from parts that probably legs should never came from, with no arms, maybe some wings, and a very odd head. The whole thing kind of started with a sort of a rhombus, or maybe a series of rhombuses, then decided to do an horizontal line on top of them, and then eyes started to pop out, and so on. The rest of the creature slowly appeared on the page. I think it took me about 2 hours and a half to finish it. I worked on it pretty slowly though, taking my time and enjoying the process. I did used a little bit of color pencils at the end and the regular pencil, but mostly I used the regular pencil to try and cover some smudges that I got on the page. Something that I haven't had for a while. This I guess shows how wet this nib actually is, even though it's an extra fine nib. Kinda like it, kinda hate it, maybe, not sure. I'll probably have to try the ink again with something else, sometime in the future. Speaking of the nib, at one point in time it actually started to behave a little bit better and not be so wet. And I actually enjoyed it for a little bit. But soon after it started to have a problem, to have basically some ink starving issues, which kind of confused me a little bit, to be honest. I had to open up the barrel and push ink to get it going a couple of times. And after the third or fourth time I realized that I actually had some paper between the tines that was stopping the ink from flowing properly. Cleaned it up and immediately regretted it because nib went back to putting ink on the page like it was no tomorrow. I was forced to work with the pen very lightly on the page, barely gliding above the page, and in some parts where I was trying to get lighter, I had to move my hand as fast as I could without ripping the page. That because, well, the nib was so wet that if I was sitting for too long in one spot, the page was starting to oversaturate and small bits were starting to come off the page. To my surprise, I did not end up with any holes in it. As a matter of fact, I was not able to see even any type of ghosting on the back of the page. So in the end it did turn out okay, even though it was a little bit difficult to control the flow of the ink. To be honest, I don't know if I would use it again, this specific fountain pen for drawing, but I do like the fountain pen, especially for writing. It was actually very comfortable to use and pleasant, no actual issues, no fatigue from it. But like I said, I might just reserve it for writing, too wet for my taste for drawing with it. Unless, I guess I could change the nib on it, I don't know, that's another idea. I'll let you know, if by any chance I'll try and do something else with it, I'll let you know. I'll come back and leave a comment on the video. One thing is for sure though, for my hand and how I like my fountain pens, I did enjoy it mostly using it posted. Even though unposted is well balanced, I find it maybe a little bit on the lighter side of things for how I like the fountain pen. Great little fountain pen from HongDian though, no actual real complaints about it, and as far as I'm concerned it gets 2 thumbs up, especially considering the price is being sold at. With that said, well, I'm kind of out of words to say, so I'll let you enjoy the rest of the time lapse, and I will be heading in, well, to bed for a good night's sleep. It's about 3 AM in the morning over here right now. Thank you for joining me, and hope I'll see you next week as well. Wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.